and to quit. And I wasn't going to quit and give up on these guys no matter how dark it got for me. So instantly, now, I kind of shifted into this third step. Okay? And this probably to me is the most important thing that a coach can learn when they talk about owning their business. When you have a good goal that's attached to your why, when you've got then obstacles that come up to yourself, the next step then is, well, okay, to get through this, so I can stay to where I'm going, so I'm committed to this, I've got to find what I can control, and I've got to own that. I can't waste my time and energy on things I can't control. Look, I would have given everything, I would have given my life to take away that disability from my children, but I couldn't. I couldn't control that. And so me humming and fretting about that wasn't going to change it. The cards that we were dealt I wasn't going to change that. So what could I control then to stay committed to that goal? What could I change? What could I control then? Okay? This is where we talk about aligning your directions to your outcomes, right? What can you control to your outcomes? So if you're having obstacles, great. What are you going to do about it? Start with the things you can control that keep you going forward, and focus and define yourself on those things. So what I started to do was I started saying, okay, well, what can we do? And I didn't know, guys, I was in a completely unknown charted territory. Okay? No, I'd never done this before. I'd never raised special needs kids. I'd never had this happen to me. I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. I knew where I wanted to go. I was trying to find the things I could do, and so I was having to take leaps of faith all over the place. I was that crazy drunk guy dancing in the park by himself. I felt like that all the time. I didn't know what I was doing. But I just knew I had to do, I wanted anything that I could put my hands on, I was going to do. Anything I could control, I was going to do to get that goal. So one of the things we decided, as we were talking through this, my wife and I were looking at different things, we're getting them in early intervention programs and all this stuff. One day my wife came to me, she said, I think we're supposed to have more kids. And I was like, our youngest at the time was 2.5. Okay, so it's been 2.5 years since we got the diagnosis. She goes, I think we're supposed to have more kids. So we started thinking about it, praying about it, and trying to figure out, we felt like, okay, we're supposed to have more kids. How are we going to do this? And so right now, I'm like, in my more committed mindset, I'm like, well, what can we do? We started looking at adoption. There's Fragile X genetic. We found out because we've got 2 kids, it's a little bit hard to get adoption, and we couldn't afford it. I was still at the beginning parts of my career, wasn't making very much money. And then one day I came home from work, and my wife says, I found it. I was like, what is it? She goes, it's a thing called pre-genetic diagnosis in vitro fertilization, PGDIV. Where basically they take the embryos and they implant ones that don't have the disability into the mom, okay? And I was like, this could be great. We could have our own kids. We can help make sure that they don't have Fragile X, so that we're not being negligent and being able to support a family. We felt like this was the direction for us. Here was the problem. It was $27,000. I was brand new in my career, and this wasn't covered by insurance. This was going to have to be all out of our pocket. But I was like, okay, what can I control? Well, I'll tell you what I can control. We can sell, like, we're going to just save. So we had 2 cars that our parents had both given us, and they had that 84 Camry and this old Isuzu pickup truck. With their permission, we sold both of them. I think we made like $3,000 on both cars. They weren't great cars, okay? We sold them both, and we bought like this salvage title minivan, okay? I don't remember how much it was, but it wasn't a big deal, okay? And we saved, like you wouldn't believe, for a couple of years. And I'll make a long story short on this one, but it was like literally, we didn't eat out, we didn't do anything. If it wasn't responsible, I ate so much garbage during that time because it was cheap pasta and rice and those prepackaged meals, because we just saved every penny we could so that we could have enough money to do this procedure, right? Well, the time came when I knew the date we had set and committed to, because they were having to fly in a specialist from out of state here to the University of Utah to do this. The date we committed to, we were going to do this, I was going to be short. I looked at our rate of savings, we were going to be short, and I was scrambling. And at work one day, I watched a video online about some guy who was raising money for a charity. He got someone to sponsor. He got a group of people to sponsor. For every mile he ran, they gave him a certain amount of money. And I thought, I've got legs. I can run a race. And so what I did, and you can tell, so I decided, I was like, okay, well, I can run a race. I'm going to run a race, okay? And I need money, so what's the longest race I can do? Well, it's a marathon. Now look, I had never run a 5K, or a 1K, or a half a K. Okay. I played baseball. In baseball, we run 90 feet, call timeout, catch our breath. It's a beautiful sport. Okay. And so, And so I never run, and I had no idea what to do. All I knew was that was as long a race as I knew of was a marathon, and I needed some money. So I decided that I was going to create this flyer, and I called it "Can Fat Men Run Marathons?" And the reason is because I'd eaten crap for 2 years, and so I was a little heavy, okay? And I knew they looked at big fat guys like me, and they're like, that guy can't run a marathon. And I was like, I can run a marathon because I got the right reason for it, and if you'll sponsor me like $1 for every mile I run, I'd appreciate your support. So I made this flyer out, and I handed it out to people, and I knew I needed to do it pretty quick, so I chose a race that was 2 months out. Not the smartest decision, but reference the fact that I've never done this before. Okay? Chose a race that was 2 months out, and I started handing out these flyers. Well, now I knew I needed to do some training. Now, I didn't know what that looked like, so I would just put on my cotton socks with my cross trainers and my cotton shirt, and I'd just go outside and I'd run till I got tired. And then I'd go home, okay? And the next day I'd try to run a little bit farther. I wasn't measuring my pace, I wasn't seeing how far I was going. There was no calendar of doing 8 miles this week. It was just me running like an idiot out on the streets till I got tired, okay? But the reason is, the point I was imperfect in this, but I was controlling what I could control to the extent that I knew how, okay? Now, this gave me an opportunity to learn step number 4, which is to be patient with your imperfections, okay? When you are doing things outside of your comfort zone, when you are trying to control the controllable and do the things outside you're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna be imperfect, okay? And the hard thing is that's gonna test that commitment again, okay? It's gonna test you, and you have to be patient with those imperfections. When you're a coach and you're making invitations and trying to build challenge groups and you're putting yourself out there, that's vulnerable. It's vulnerable. It's vulnerable because you get rejection, but more than anything for people, it's vulnerable because you're going to be imperfect. You're going to make mistakes. And no one likes to make mistakes. But here's a secret. You have to learn. You have to be able to learn in this. You have to be patient with those imperfections and keep going. Okay? See progress in the process and the pain you feel. So, fast forward now to the marathon day. I wake up in the morning, 3:30 in the morning, I'm like, why the heck do I have to go so early to run? Who does this, right? Get up and I go get on a bus. My dad has decided to help run, he's going to run the half marathon with me. That's why it was Fat Man, not Fat Man. Because my dad was going to run with me. He was a little bit where I was. And we both get on the bus, and immediately I know I'm in trouble. Because I'm sitting there with my little cotton shirt, right? My cute little golf visor, and my flipping white cotton basketball socks and my trainers. And I'm looking around these people getting on the bus, and they're like 90% legs, super shorty shorts, way more confident than I was in my body, okay? And dry fit this and all that, and I'm going, some of them have like this, like it looks like, machine gun ammo, like bottled waters all over your body, and I'm just like, okay. Might be in over my head here a little bit, okay? And we're driving up to the race, and I'll never forget it, right? It's the first time they ran this Teton Dam Marathon. And it's really small. There's like 100 people in this race is all. It might even like 80. We all fit on one school bus. And they're driving us up to this race, and we're getting there, and I'm, how many of you have done a race like this before? You kind of stand at the starting line, you're kind of like, it's your first one, you kind of got a little bit of energy, right? And I'm kind of going, okay, we're going to pump myself up, I'm going to do this. I'm a little bit nervous because I'm thinking I might be ignorant to some things other people know about these races and all this stuff. And my dad, in his infinite wisdom, who by the way has never done these races either, just looks at me and goes, Kim, just go for it. Just run. Just run as fast as you can. You really get this thing. And I'm like, yeah. The gun goes off and boom, I go. I'm gone. Okay? I am running. I'm running way too fast. Okay? But I'm running. I remember I hit mile 2 and I'm like, okay. And what ends up happening in this race, after about mile 7, I finally flew and I should probably slow down a little bit. But those of you that have done this before know that I really screwed up by running those first 7 miles like I was freaking Carl Lewis. Okay. That makes me sound so old. What's Usain Bolt? That's a more relevant time. Anyway, so we about 7 miles into it, I realized that I'm by myself in this race. And when I say I'm by myself, guys, I'm literally in the middle of Idaho by myself, okay? I've got the gazelles that are in front of me. Like, I can't see them anymore. There's me, and then there's the 5 guys who wore like knee braces, headbands, and elbow pads, and they're just gonna walk this thing, right? They're not in any hurry to get through that, okay? That's where we're at. Which is really sad that I ran that fast and was still that far behind you guys. Okay? So I'm by myself. okay? And I'm just kind of jogging now, and I'm kind of like, okay, la, 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 la. And again, this is all new for me, right? So I don't have a watch on or timing my pace, and I don't know when they come like, oh, those guys are at this water station here. You know, I mean, I'm ignorant of all these things. But I do notice that they have these little mile markers stuck at the side of the road to let you know how far you're going, right? And so at about mile 12, there's this nice gentle bend, and it goes to the right, okay? And so I'm running by myself, okay? Reference this picture right here, okay? By myself, and I see that there's this little like hairpin turn to the left, but it doesn't make any sense to my brain. You're supposed to just go right. I mean, just that's where the road goes, just to the right. So I go right to the road. And I'm running, and I'm running, and I'm running, and I'm running. Pretty soon I'm like, I don't see that. It's supposed to be 13. I don't see that mile marker. And in my, again, amazing knowledge of races, I was like, maybe it's like, you know, they don't put like a 13th floor in like the hotels. It's like an unlucky number, so they don't post it, right? So I keep running, I keep running, I keep running, I keep running, I keep running. And I'm running, guys. It's not like a little, I mean, I'm a good 20 minutes into this. And all of a sudden, this white Maxima passes me. And they're waving. And this wasn't unusual for the race, right? Because it was small enough, they only closed down one lane of highway, so we had cars that would pass us from time to time. So I waved to them, thanks for your support. And I'm still running, probably another 10 minutes. So now it's probably about 25, 30 minutes since that gentle red turn. And that white Maxima's coming back, and I realize he's not doing this, he's doing this. And in the perfect example of an Idaho drive-by, he rolls down his window and says, "You're going the wrong way." Just drives on by. And all of a sudden I remember that hairpin turn on the left. And I was like, and all of a sudden that way I start out the race, going way too fast. All of a sudden I was really tired. And I felt so stupid. What kind of moron goes the wrong way in a marathon? And I sat down on the asphalt. I didn't care. Hit me. I'm done. And I started to feel sorry for myself. And I started crying. I'm kind of a cry baby. It sounds like I'm usually that big of a cry baby. And I started getting a little emotional. And I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done. I know all the people who are going to give me money are going to give me the money. They don't care if I finish the race. They wouldn't give it to me anyway. I just did the race because I didn't want to go ask for money. They're going to give me money. I'm done. I'm going to be done. And then I remember I laid down on the asphalt. And I was just, I'm looking up in the sky. I remember seeing the clouds. And I remember thinking, how am I going to do with my wife? Can I pick me up and all this stuff? And then I started thinking to myself, why I was there. And I realized it wasn't for the money. It was because it was one thing that I could control to help my family. And I remember those times, those dark months, when I was just so desperate to have something that I could control, that could help them, when everything that seemed to matter was out of my control. But this was one of the things that I could do. But this is what dads did. They did what was necessary for the family. And that was the kind of person that I was raised to be. And that's the kind of dad that I wanted to be. That was my why. That was my goal. It was testing my commitment to that. So I got up off that asphalt and I ran back. Ran back, and of course by the time I got back to that little pin, someone was nice enough to pick the flag back up and pointed that way, so I saw it. Okay, it got knocked down. And it went that way. As I turned the corner, right here, the knee brace brigade is what I call them, okay? And all their knee braces and headbands and everything. Now they were ahead of me. I was the last person in this race. And I was upset that I had gone the wrong way. I was upset that I was last. And I was upset that those people that were walking were beating me. And so I made another really good decision in this race. I looked ahead of me, and as that turn came flattened out, it went up 3 undulating hills. Hill, flat spot, hill, flat spot, hill, flat spot. And I thought to myself, if I run up those hills as fast as I can, I'm going to pass those guys, because I know that I'm not going to walk very fast up those hills. So I come up those hills. Actually, my wife is at the top of this hill, so you can see there's that first hill right there, the flat stop. The second hill was right up this, right down here. When I hit the ground, and all of a sudden it felt like someone took a screwdriver and stabbed it in the outside part of my knee. And I was like, And so every time I hit it down, it shot pain up my leg. In fact, I was running kind of like weird. And in that picture, I remember telling my wife, I was like, tell me when you're going to take the picture so I can look like I was running correctly. You know? I was